while we're on the topic of sustainability, why don't we go ahead and introduce Caroline Grieve, who a lot of you know. And Caroline, what's your role in display copy? And tell us about how you and Brynn first met.
Sure. Hi, Caroline here. I am the sustainability advisor and editor. So I advise Brynn on sort of all things sustainability related to the magazine and content and give my point of view. And then also generate content in the form of a Q&A and eventually cultivating stories with writers related to circularity in particular as part of facet of sustainability, which is really exciting because there are a lot of really exciting stories to tell, actually really hopeful stories to tell, not just terrible ones in the industry. And I met Brynn. I don't actually know where Brynn saw me via the.
It was the panel, the first panel on sustainability.
Oh, right. Okay. And then, yeah, and then you just reached out to me and we had a really lovely first phone call in my memory and was kind of just brainstorming how potentially we could work together. And what was really memorable for me about the encounter is I get pitched pretty often about startup ideas and, you know, everyone thinks their ideas are really like the best idea in the whole wide world. And this was the first time that a startup had pitched to me and I was like, oh no, this has legs. Like this is the future of fashion. This is a really good idea. This woman is very professional. And I've been really excited about it and had such a great time working on it and feel really convicted about its mission ever since.
I'm so glad that Joe invited you, Brynn. And
I know.
I remember actually, she was one of our first, she was an early member and you were an early member. And I remember when we were having our first, Zoom meetings, through the Google group and all of that. It seems like ancient history, honestly. It seems like
a year ago at least.
Right? So tell me a little bit about your experience. And I have so many questions. And I want to meet all of the other members as well. But did you join the collab thinking, oh, this will be a great place to meet people for this? Or was it, okay, so tell us how that
experience. I'm a terrible networker. And Joe, I was in a deep depression at the beginning of COVID, and I was supposed to launch this magazine in March. And so for me, it was like, I've worked on this baby for a year. I've invested my entire life. I haven't worked. I've spent all the money I had on it. And now COVID happens and I should be productive. I should use the time to make it better. I should do this. I should do that. And I was just like paralyzed by that. And Joe, being the dear friend that she is, was like, okay, let's start meeting every few days and chip away at things. She's a marketing person and she's like, and join this Kristy Hurt group. It would be good for you. I know you don't want to do it. But like there's a lot of people in the same boat and it's going to be good for you. And so I joined and the first panel was the sustainability panel. And I literally, it was just like curiosity. And then another, like, I loved how everybody had to introduce themselves in the emails. And so for me, it was just like getting out of my own head and just putting myself out there and having conversations, which turned into like productive partnerships.
I mean, I'm going to cry because this is the reason I created this for you guys. And I feel very emotional because this is like our first really huge thing that's come out of this. And we're going to get there with every single one of you. I know it. And we've already had people who are finding jobs and meeting people who are going to be like, I mean, I know that a lot of you I'm going to know forever and I'm going to work with forever. It's super exciting.
But can I just say one thing about you, Kristy, is like, one of the things for me on my journey is intuition and being really present, even when you're afraid or frustrated or whatever. And I know from hearing your original story that you didn't know what you were doing. You were just like, will my friends please join this call because it might be a disaster? But you knew you had to, you like followed your intuition, and it's this now.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it came from Eliza Lick saying you should start a community, and me feeling sort of frustrated because I was getting so many resumes and I had no jobs to fill because of COVID, and yet so much access to talent. And I just knew that I needed to bring everyone together and create something. And thankfully all these people stepped up and helped me build it, and a lot of you are here today, and I couldn't have done it without you, and it's really exciting to see where it's going to go next.